It's got a new mic here, so hopefully this is going to work well. It's one of those blue Yetis, which I like the color actually of a, I don't even know what that is. All right, but I'm going to talk about TSP, Thrift Savings Plan, for those of you not aware. I got a lot of firemen, which I don't know if they're part of the TSP, but a lot of USPS folks, Postal Service workers, a lot of civil servants, and of course, a lot of military people as well. So for those of you out there, military, civil service, USPS, U.S. public health and whatnot, this is for you because we're going to talk about TSP. And it's basically one of my clients and a subscriber shared with me something I want to talk to you about. But first, I want to read from my blog here because this is the TSP is a wonderful, wonderful option for you while you're building money. It's horrific when it comes to taking distributions. And I want to share with you why that is. And it boggles my mind that it has to be like this. So let's dive right into it. This is kind of frustrating. And this is from my blog post. I'm not going to read. I'm going to keep my domain name on the joshscanlon.com. I'm not sure I'm going to keep this blog up and running because they want to charge me $50 a month, Bluehost, to keep. And I don't really post that much on here anymore just because I use everything through Heritage Wealth Planning. So if you go to joshscanlon.com, if you don't see anything, that would be simply because I've probably taken it down to save me the $50 a month. Now, my man Dave Simon, who hosts my Heritage Wealth Planning Heritage Wealth Planning blog, I'll probably just transfer that over to him at some point. Anyway, so long story short, I'll post this on my own website at heritagewealthplanning.com. This is my joshscanlon.com blog, but I'm not sure I'm going to keep this going that much. I just don't use it. I don't post that much anymore in here. And there's a lot more stuff in terms of electricity, Christianity, just green energy, because that's anyway, a lot more. I don't want to say political here, but certainly more less financial planning related and more just personal thoughts on here. But anyway, those are my kids. That's a high school that they go, well, actually not the high school they go to, but the high school is right across the street from where they go to middle school. And that's to celebrate, to memorialize September 11th, 2001. I think it's important to remember how many people actually died and they plant, those flags out there. It's just, it pains me, man. It really does. Just the fact that you hear the story, and people die all the time. I get that, but that was bad. And it's easy to forget because it's been so long. That's 3 of my 4. All right, so let's go down. I love TSP. I do. And I wrote this blog in conjunction with a guy I had a long time ago ask me if he should roll his TSP over to an index variable annuity. And the answer was absolutely no. And the reason, because TSP has the lowest expenses in the market. No other way around that. And this is from the TSP.gov itself. For 2016, the average net expense on the funds were 0.38, which means 3.8 cents per $1,000, which is incredibly cheap. The average fund at Morningstar, the average fund is 0.57, which is literally 15 times as expensive as the average TSP fund. But it does get worse. And I got links to all this, and I'll put, again, a link to this blog in the show notes. But it does get nice. But here's a paper that breaks down from Morningstar the fund expenses that vary from various funds. So remember, the average fund is 0.57, but the problem is that includes bond funds, that includes ETFs as well. I mean, index funds as well. So when you look at the average stock fund, which they will do, here's the ICI, the Investment Company Institute, which is kind of the representative of the mutual fund industry. The average expense ratio on actively managed stock funds is 1.28%. Whereas the asset-weighted expense ratio is less than half that. What's that about? Well, the simple average expense ratio of equity funds, the average for all equity funds of mutual funds that was offered for sale was 1.28%. The asset-weighted average ratio for equity funds, the average that shareholders actually paid, was far lower, 0.63. This tells us that more investors are choosing lower-cost funds. The average dollar is invested is 0.63, but the average fund expense is still quite high. So for the average investor, it's still about 1.28%. And that's, again, 34 times more expensive than the TSP. If you're paying 34 times more expenses on your actively managed mutual fund versus the TSP. Now, TSP is all indexed. There's no getting around that. It's just, I'm not going to say there's no way. It's going to be god awful hard for you to beat your TSP. It's just going to be because you're paying 35 times more fees. There's just no other way around that. So I invest in the average mutual fund. You invest in the TSP. I pay 34 times more money in fees than you. You pay 38% per 38 cents per $1,000 invested. I pay $12.80 per $1,000 invested, which means I must outperform you by $12.52 per $1,000 per year to actually beat you in total returns year over year over year. Not likely to happen. And of course, I say don't fall for the idea that higher expense equals actively managed funds. You're getting better bang for your buck is the exact opposite. So lots of research on this is really not debatable anymore. So I love the TSP while I'm building wealth, and I hate the TSP when I'm trying to access it. And here's why. It boggles the mind that the TSP is such a good investment program for one accumulating assets, but so horrible for distribution of the assets. There's three things happening here. All right. So we're going to talk about number one, the TSP account owner. Josh, I am the TSP account owner. I have two distribution choices. That's it, two. And here we got a link to the TSP.gov plan participant, account owner, plan participant, the same thing. You can take a partial withdrawal one time. And you can only do that. It's got to be over $1,000. And as long as you did not take an in-service withdrawal while you were employed. So if you took an in-service withdrawal, you can't take a partial withdrawal. You can't do it. So if you did not take a in-service withdrawal, you can take a partial withdrawal over $1,000, and you can do it one time. Full withdrawals. You can take a lump sum payment. I got $50,000 my TSP, cut me a check for $50,000. Or I can lump sum is also, you can roll that to an IRA. You can do a specific monthly payment. I got $50,000 in there. I want to get it over, 10 years. Give me $500 a month, whatever that is. You can do it as a monthly payment based on your life expectancy. I'm 55 years old. I expect to live to 83. So I'm, 28 something years or something like that? Yeah, 28 years. So I'll take my $50,000 divided by 28 years, give me X, whatever that is a month over my life expectancy, and then I can annuitize it as well. Notice what is not included in these distribution options. The ability for you, again, Josh, the account owner, the plan participant, to take money out whenever I want. I can't do that. I can't just call them up, say, send me a check. It doesn't work like that. Now, we cited this Washington Post article from 2015, and you got to keep this in the back of your mind, so we're going to revisit similar to this here in just a second, where people are clamoring for liberalization of the distribution amounts. And here's one of the bills that was proposed and certainly didn't go far. It would create new options for taking regular payments. Investors can choose quarterly or annual payments as well as monthly payments. Change the amounts at any time rather than just once a year. And if they begin but stop such payments, can choose an annuity in addition to a lump sum with a remaining balance. But it's a nice thought, but it didn't go through. And even that's pretty small potatoes relative to what you can get in regular IRAs, which you can come and go as you please. Now, like all qualified accounts, distributions must start by April 1st of the year after you turn 70 and a half. Again, just say 70, you got to start taking distributions. But here's what ticks me off to know. I cannot stress how much this bothers me. Pro rata withdrawals. Withdrawals from TSP are paid proportionately from taxable and non-taxable amounts in your Roth and the traditional balances. That means if you have a Roth TSP and a traditional TSP, and you want to take a partial distribution, again, partial distribution one time, the amount you will receive will be percentage from each of the accounts. Someone actually took the time to put this rule into effect. And again, I'm going to talk about this here in just a second because this boggles the mind. Send me a check for $10,000. I got $50,000 my Roth, $50,000 my traditional. They'll send me a check for $10,000. $5,000 will come from the Roth and $5,000 will come from the traditional. Or I got 66 in my traditional, 33 in my Roth. 2/3 will come from my traditional, a third will come from my Roth. There's some calculation that someone's got to do to fill it out correctly and also send the correct tax form as well. All right, here's where it gets insane. TSP spousal beneficiary options. You've got to know this, my friends. So I'm the beneficiary. I'm the plan participant. Oh, I'm the owner and the plan participant. Old Josh. Charlotte is a spousal beneficiary. What happens if Josh dies? Now, here's a 23-page brochure that you should read if you are Charlotte, because you're not going to know what's going to go on. I'm telling you right now. All right, so I just died. I have a TSP. What's going to happen is my wife is the beneficiary, my spouse. They're going to set up automatically for her what's called a BPA, a beneficiary participant account. I'm the plan participant. I'm the owner, the TSP. At my death, Charlotte will not have the TSP anymore. As long as she's my spouse, she will have a BPA. TSP to BPA. All right. Now, you might be inclined to transfer your BPA to a TSP. Let's say Charlotte also has her own TSP. This is where the rules of the IRA kind of come into play here as well. If she is under the age of 59 and a half, regardless of TSP, this is the same for an IRA or 401k, it'd be a mistake for her to transfer her inherited account. Again, this is a BPA, a beneficiary participant account, is similar to an inherited IRA. Do not transfer that over to your own IRA or TSP if you're under the age of 59 and a half, because if you do decide to take a distribution from that account, your own TSP or own IRA before you're at the age of 59 and a half, it will be subject to what? What will that be subject to? 10% early withdrawal penalty. That's absolutely correct out there in YouTube land. However, if you left the account in the BPA, synonymous with an inherited IRA, you could take a distribution from that and it will not be subject to the 10% penalty, because the one qualification not to be subject to the penalty is death of the current account owner. So just remember that. Before you roll your BPA to your TSP, keep in mind that could be a problem. Now, remember, if it is an inherited IRA or a BPA, you still have to take mandatory distributions. That's a fact. No getting around that. So that would be a drawback, but at least it will be minimal and it won't be subject to 10% penalty. Excuse me. All right. So there are no early withdrawal penalty tax associated with withdrawals from the BPA. Again, this inherited IRA, but in this case, it's not an inherited IRA. It's the version, the TSP version of the inherited IRA. There is, however, early withdrawal penalty tax associated with regular civilian or uniform service accounts, TSP. Therefore, you just got to be careful. That's what I talk about. Be advised, all retirement accounts operate like this. So again, I'm not going to dive into that. All right. Now, here is the problem with the BPA. There's still only one-time partial withdrawals of it. Unfortunately, you're still subject to the big restrictions on when you can take a distribution out of your BPA, just like the restrictions on the plan participant or the initial account owner, old Josh. You can only make one partial distribution. Just one. Only 3 withdrawal options of a thrift savings plan BPA. Again, BPA is for the beneficiary, my wife, spouse of the plan participant's TSP. You can take a lump sum, you can take it in monthly payments, or you can take it in annuity. That's it. Again, you cannot just call up and say, send me a check. It does not work like that. Thankfully, you can transfer your BPA to another IRA. So just keep that in mind, which is something you might want to do. You can transfer your BPA to an IRA or eligible retirement account like your TSP. But I don't want you to transfer it. I want you to keep the TSP because it's so valuable and the fees are so low. But I hate to say it, if you have a BPA, you need to transfer to an IRA without question. Get it out of there because of the limits on your ability to take monthly distributions. One partial withdrawal, that's it. And your lump sum options are your options are lump sum, monthly payments, or annuity. All right, here's where it's even mind-boggling here. So I'm the plan participant. I'm the TSP owner. Charlotte is the BPA, the beneficiary participant account, because she's my spouse. What happens when she dies and leaves the money to my kids? All right, so they're the heirs of the BPA, and they must take a lump sum. And here's directly from the TSP's horse's mouth. Death benefit payments made from your BPA must be paid directly to your heirs. These payments are subject to certain tax restrictions and cannot be transferred or roll over to an IRA or eligible employer plan. In addition, your beneficiaries will have to pay the full amount of taxes on the taxable portions of the payment in the years received. So lump sum to the heirs of the BPA will be paid immediately to your beneficiaries, regardless of if they want it or need the money at all. They will be responsible for any taxes as ordinary income. Now, non-spouse beneficiary of a TSP. All right, so now let's just say Charlotte predeceased me. All right, so I am Josh. I have no spouse. I have my TSP, and I name my kids as the beneficiaries of the TSP. This is going to be a non-spouse beneficiary. There is no BPA here because they are non-spouse beneficiaries. Believe it or not, non-spouse beneficiaries of a TSP actually have more options upon inheriting a TSP. A non-spouse beneficiary of a TSP is not the same as a beneficiary of a BPA. A BPA owner is set up. A BPA is the spouse of the TSP owner. A non-spouse beneficiary of the TSP is inherently a non-spouse. Beneficiaries of a BPA cannot roll over that account to an inherited IRA. Okay, they're going to get a lump sum distribution. The BPA owners can. The BPA owners can roll that over to an inherited IRA. Again, BPA is a spousal benefit of a TSP owner. Non-spouse beneficiaries of the TSP can roll the account over to an inherited IRA. So again, in this case, a beneficiary of the BPA has to take a lump sum distribution and pay all the taxes. Beneficiaries of a TSP can roll it over to an inherited IRA. All right, so just keep that in mind. Options for non-spouse beneficiaries of thrift savings plans. They have two: lump sum distributions or roll over to an inherited IRA. All right, does that make sense? So we got the TSP owner, we got BPA, spousal beneficiaries of the TSP owner, and we got non-spouse beneficiaries of either the BPA or of the TSP. You got to keep that in mind. The beneficiaries of the BPA have to take lump sum distributions. They cannot roll it over, as we see right here. BPA beneficiaries cannot roll over that account to an inherited IRA. Cannot do it. All right, so TSP non-spousal beneficiaries can do that. Now, you can remember all that, right? Clear as mud. All right, so here's from the TSP for a very specific. Non-spouse beneficiaries. A beneficiary is not a surviving spouse, cannot retain a TSP account. So just always remember that non-spouse beneficiary is basically, if it's not a spousal beneficiary of a TSP or if it's a BPA beneficiary, you cannot retain the TSP. Non-spouse beneficiary of any sort. The children of you, the owner, cannot retain a TSP account, regardless if it goes to your spouse first or if it goes directly to them. They can't. They have to take a lump sum distribution, or if they're the non-spouse beneficiary of the TSP, they can roll it to an IRA, an inherited IRA. If they're the beneficiary of a BPA, they cannot. They have to take it as a lump sum distribution and pay tax. If the beneficiary participant dies, the new beneficiaries cannot continue to maintain the account of the TSP. Also, the benefit payment cannot be transferred or rolled over to any type of IRA. And I cannot stress this enough. Let's go to the difference between the beneficiaries. First, you are the TSP owner. Josh, I name my kid Joey as beneficiary. At my death, Joey has two options. He can take a fully taxable lump sum distribution, or he can roll over my TSP to his own inherited IRA. Second, I am the TSP owner, old Josh. I name my wife Judy as beneficiary. At my death, a BPA is open for Judy, a beneficiary participant account, and she can roll her TSP over to that BPA. So they roll my TSP over to her BPA. Now she names Joey as the beneficiary of that BPA. When Judy dies, Joey inherits the account, but must take a lump sum distribution. He cannot put it to an inherited IRA. Ultimately, when Joey, the non-spouse beneficiary, inherits it, he cannot keep the TSP or the BPA. If he inherits the TSP, he can roll it to his own inherited IRA. If he inherits the BPA, he must take a lump sum distribution. Great time. All right, so now we got this right here. All right, so let me make this bigger. So the guy I'm working with, who's a postal worker, asked me about his ability to roll his TSP deferred account to a Roth. And here's what he said. He emailed TSP. And I said, I don't know if you can. He said, is it possible to move account balances from traditional tax-deferred TSP to a Roth TSP, aka a Roth conversion, while I'm still employed for the federal government? The response to your inquiry of October 21st, 2018 concerning your TSP account, you asked if you can convert your traditional funds to the Roth. In 2014, TSP conducted a study on the merits and methods of allowing in-plan Roth conversions, as well as other changes to the TSP with a Roth feature, such as allowing participants to elect withdrawal traditional accounts and Roth accounts separately rather than pro rata as is currently required. Man, we just talked about this. And remember what I said. They don't let you do it. In 2014, they did a study, and in 2018, the results of the study are still under review. So the 2014, they did a study on pro rata, of separate distributions, specific identification, as opposed to pro rata. The results of that study are still under review, and here it is, October 2018. However, should the TSP elect to allow in-plan Roth conversions and or other Roth-related changes, it will require significant reprogramming as well as significant changes to our communication materials. While this will not deter us, the TSP is charged with acting in the best interest of our participants and is always looking for ways to meet the needs of our participants. It won't deter us, but we're not making any changes. All right. We likely will not be able to implement any such changes in the near future. You may elect to, so let me highlight that. We likely will not be able to implement any such changes in the near future because it will require significant reprogramming as well as significant changes to our communication materials. So let me back up for a second. And in defense of the TSP, they have thousands, millions of participants and billions of dollars in there. I just learned the other day that Wealthfront did not even have a Roth feature for it, for instance. And I was frustrated with Wealthfront. I said, how can they not have a Roth? And so I was talking to a friend of mine who's a bigwig at a various company. He says, Josh, you don't understand how difficult it is to do that. I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, I'm telling you. And this guy, trust me, his firm manages billions of dollars. He goes, it's not just like you can't flip a switch. It is mind-boggling complex and expensive to allow a Roth. And so, okay, in their defense, I get that, but still, I mean, the fact that they allow the pro rata distributions, that takes time and money too. Would it be easier to allow just specific? But anyway, TSP says they're not likely to implement it in the near future, simply because it costs significant reprogramming. You may elect, let's see what they say. You may elect to make Roth contributions through your agency's payroll website, MyPay. If that option is not available to you, submit TSP-1 election form to your agency's payroll office. And this form can be located on tsp.gov under forms and publications. All right, so let's wrap this up. The TSP is wonderful while you're growing money, but I hate to say you need to absolutely withdraw it in as an IRA or as a 401k, as a direct rollover, which is from an employer-sponsored plan to an IRA. So working with my guy now, just set up a Vanguard account simply because you can get the Vanguard Life Strategy Growth Mutual Fund for like 10 or 14 basis points. The TSP is 3 times as expensive as a TSP. But I hate to say it, when you're that low in fees anyway, now we're not talking much. I mean, it's not very significant. We're talking literally pennies, fractional pennies on the dollar when it's 14 basis points to 4 basis points. A whole lot different when it's 1.28% to 4 basis points than from 14 basis points to 0.4. Now, you can always just buy an ETF at Vanguard for 5 basis points. So now that ETFs are so cheap, they're competitive with TSPs, it really makes no sense, in my opinion, to keep your money in the TSP. I don't see the benefits given these draconian restrictions on your ability to take distributions. Frustrates me. I hope this helps, my friends. I'll do another video here in just a second. Again, on your inability, on what you should do if you're under the age of 59 and a half or inheriting an IRA. I'm telling you, there's some significant drawbacks there. We talked about that here, but I'll do a specific one, not related to the TSP, just generally speaking. So if you like what you see, subscribe down below. If you're on the podcast, we're going to do a song here for you. We're going to do the Clutch Oregon song, not because this has any specific meaning, but it's an awesome, awesome song from a band called Clutch, who I actually have their 7-inch. Now, if you're from the old schools, that would be called a 45 record, but I actually have this Pitchforks and Needles 7-inch from Clutch. And I think that might even be orange color, orange vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. Back in the day, in the late 80s, in the early 90s, when they used to print, well, not the late 80s, all through the 70s and 80s, when they used to print 7 inches, that'd be like a demo tape, essentially. They'd print 7-inch records I don't even know why people started doing this, but it's pretty cool. They do colored vinyl, blue, purple, orange, pink, all that. And again, I don't know what the cost to do that was, but I used to have a pretty massive collection of 12-inch records, and now I had to sell those at one point to raise some cash, which I won't go into here why, but I kept all my 7 inches. So I have like a bunch of old punk rock and hardcore bands from the early to mid 80s. I have Uniform Choice, Verbal Assault, even Dropkick Murphy's 7-inch that I think was on with the Ducky Boys. Lots of different bands on there. I don't think metal bands did much in 7-inch, but in hardcore and punk is all 7-inch. But for sure. So you go to a show and they'd sell you obviously cassette tapes. They'd have free demos of cassette tapes, but I'd always look for their 7-inch, because that'd be like their essentially not a demo tape, but their introduction to the band getting out there in the mainstream. For, again, not mainstream like the way you could hear on the radio, because if you're grown up listening to music in the 80s, you just want to kill yourself, because the music back then, pop music, was so bad. Anyway, so Clutch was around from 1988. They're from Maryland. I never knew these guys, even though I'm from right up their way too. And they have a couple songs about my neck of the woods in Silver Spring, Colesville Road and whatnot. But I've always been a fan of them. I think I was introduced to them in 1991, I think. I can't remember. And, they've just done, they're still around today, just producing just great music. It's cyclical, I guess. Some of the albums are freaking awesome. Some just aren't. There's no other way around that. But by and large, it's a wonderful, great band. They've been together, those 4 guys. It's crazy. And the lyrics don't make any sense, but they're awesome. And this one won't make any sense either. But when he talks about, just gotta listen to it. Hail Draco, the king of the dragon men, or something like that. Oh, man, it's just awesome. So I'll lift that for you on the podcast. I don't think I could do it here on the YouTube, because I don't have the ownership rights of it or whatever. But if you do like the podcast, enjoy the song, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.